Olá, muito boa noite para vocês. O meu nome é Gregório Lamping, sou professor de português para os seus filhos este ano. Hi, my name is Greg Lamping. I'm your son's Portuguese teacher this year, and I am so happy that they chose Portuguese. We have 4 students this year, very dedicated guys, extremely talented. I know we're going to have a great time. I'm always excited to see students that are interested in a language that I love. I spent some time living in Brazil, and it's a country that's near and dear to my heart. I love the language, and I'm so glad that your sons chose to take it with me. But why in the heck choose Portuguese? Well, Portuguese is spoken pretty widely, actually. If you look at this map, you see that it's spoken not only in Portugal, but also in Brazil. Large parts of Africa are also Portuguese speaking. If you go into Asia, East Timor is Portuguese speaking. Macau in China is a Portuguese, former Portuguese colony that still maintains Portuguese culture. As a matter of fact, you can go to universities there and get degrees in Portuguese in Macau. So there's an awful lot to recommend Portuguese as a language. And actually on the map it's not there, but Goa, India is also a former Portuguese colony where you can still hear Portuguese spoken and you can still take it in school. And there are lots of architecture, Catholic churches and things like that as a result of Portuguese colonization. I don't know how well you can see this, probably not well at all, until I bring it up. Yeah, there we go. We were looking at a chart the other day in class about how many native speakers of different languages there are. And obviously Chinese has the most native-born speakers. But then you go down, Spanish actually has more native-born speakers than English. English is third after Spanish in terms of native-born. This doesn't include people that learn English as a second language. If you do that, then it gets reversed a little bit. But Spanish falls to 9th in that regard. But it's second in terms of native speakers. And then you go down here, Portuguese is actually ahead of a lot of other languages. For example, there are more Portuguese speakers than there are French and German native-born speakers combined. And so here at St. X we teach French and German, but French and German combined don't have as many native speakers as Portuguese does. And so it only makes sense that we do allow students to take Portuguese if it can be offered. As a matter of fact, Portuguese is considered a strategic language, meaning that after 9/11, George Bush said, hey, we don't have enough Arabic speakers, or we don't have enough people that can speak the languages of the Middle East. We need to do something about that. So, and then they said, what other languages don't we have enough speakers of? And they identified several languages. Portuguese was one of those languages. And so there is actually additional government funding for students that want to pursue Portuguese, especially beyond high school. There are grants for travel, and you could probably even get your PhD in Portuguese for free if you looked around a little bit. And so it's quite the language to learn. Here in Cincinnati, we also do an awful lot of trade with Brazil. For example, General Electric has a wonderful relationship with Embraer in Brazil. They make regional jets. You might have been on an Embraer jet if you've flown in the United States and been on a small jet that is kind of the connector flights for the larger airlines. And so GE supplies a lot of their engines. And so you have that. And there are other companies here in Cincinnati that also do quite a bit of business with Brazil, and knowing even a little bit of Portuguese would be helpful. So I'm so glad that your sons chose to take this wonderful language. Again, there are government grants that your sons might be eligible for if they're interested in Portuguese. There are university incentives for learning Portuguese. There's travel, just being able to go to different areas of the world, Africa, to Asia, to South America, to Europe. Just an awful lot of travel that can take place as a result of knowing some Portuguese. And then there are volunteer opportunities. For example, I give seminars in Brazil quite often. And I'm always looking for volunteers to come with me as conversation partners for those that are learning English. And I've actually in the past taken students with me for that to volunteer once they've graduated from St. X. And then obviously, as I said before, jobs. There's a high demand for people that can speak less commonly taught languages. And because Brazil is such a big trading partner with the United States, companies are looking for people that can speak Portuguese in order to be able to carry on commerce with Brazil, which is a very large economy in Latin America. Obviously at St. X, we're all about the graduate at graduation and what we hope our sons can be once they graduate from St. X. And we hope that they're all intellectually competent. Your sons are well on their way. They're proving that day in and day out. They ask really great questions. I love it when they get me off topic because I'm really not off topic with them. They are laser focused and they are very, very good at this. And I also believe that learning a foreign language is probably the most challenging thing that you can do academically. I don't think that there's anything that can stretch you more than trying to learn a language that's not quite yet your own in an artificial environment like a classroom. And being open to growth. I think when you learn to speak another language well, it begins to affect your personality. You begin to take on the characteristics of people that speak the language that you're learning. And I think that it challenges you in a lot of ways that other subject areas just can't. In the area of being religious, loving, and committed to justice, we begin each class with prayer. We're learning some of the standard prayers of the church right now, the Our Father, the Glory Be, the Creed, that sort of thing, the Hail Mary. And throughout the year, we'll also be learning some religious songs with an eye towards going out into the community and being able to use our Portuguese in those different kinds of ways. And then obviously the class is about the 5 C's, communication being number 1. We want your sons to be able to communicate easily and effectively in Portuguese. And I have no reason to believe that your sons won't be successful at this. So far they're doing extremely well. Cultures. We're learning that Portuguese culture is not monolithic, that there's not just one thing. And we've been constantly talking about the food, about different accents that different people have in different areas of the world. And so learning cultural differences and cultural differences between Brazil and the United States, Portugal, and the Asian countries, African countries as well. Making connections to other disciplines. We'll be looking at the FUVEST and the Vestibular, which are sort of like the ACT and the SAT. And we'll be looking at sections maybe from a science portion or a math portion to see if they could read that and understand it well enough to answer some questions in Portuguese. We'll be making comparisons to other languages. Most commonly, we'll be comparing Portuguese with Spanish because your sons have quite a bit of background in Spanish. Everyone that's taking Portuguese this year has had at least some Spanish. And so they'll go hand in hand and they'll be able to see how Portuguese and Spanish evolved in different directions from Latin. We'll also be looking at other languages. For example, one of our students is very involved in our Italian club. And so we'll be looking at Italian, we'll be looking at French and other languages too, as we compare them with the way the Portuguese is. And then obviously the last thing was that I wanted to talk about communities. I hope that your sons have an opportunity to use their Portuguese beyond the walls of St. X. And I will be talking about opportunities, especially things that I do, where we might be able to get them involved in things, and hopefully either virtually or in person. The essential question is, will your son be able to speak Portuguese once he leaves St. X? And the answer is that if the past is any indication, yes. Most of the students report that by the time they finish this course, that their Portuguese is actually better than their Spanish because it's a smaller course, and the people that take this class are taking it as an elective, and they are highly motivated and highly talented usually. And so by the end of this year, they will have seen what it would normally take 4 years in a regular classroom to see. And as a matter of fact, at the end of this year, we're going to be taking the equivalent of an AP exam. It's called the Newell exam for less commonly taught languages. and colleges recognize it just like they recognize the AP. We'll also be taking the National Portuguese exam. I had one student last year, just one, and he took the National Portuguese exam and scored 4th in the nation on it. So I'm so happy that happened. And normally we do have students who score in the top 10 in the nation on this. So it's really quite a testament to their dedication in taking this language. The essential skills, obviously, being able to read, being able to hear and understand, and then being able to speak and being able to write in Portuguese, and we'll be working with that as well as the grammar and vocab skills to be able to support that. And then the essential outcome is that your sons will be able to present in Portuguese, will be able to carry on conversations in Portuguese, and be able to read and hear and understand. Portuguese at St. X we do a fair amount with technology. One of the things that I use quite a bit is the Pimsleur method. The Pimsleur method is kind of cool because they teach you something and then they assume that 5 seconds from now you're going to forget it. So they're going to teach it again in 5 seconds. And then in a minute from now they'll teach it again, in 5 minutes from now again, and an hour from now again. And I've actually used this method to teach myself Chinese and to teach myself Russian and other languages, and I find it very effective. And I think at the very beginning it seems like it moves very slow, but by the end I think they're going to really appreciate the method. And I think it's a well-proven method. I think they'll really enjoy it. We do quite a bit with music. I especially like seeing young people that can do covers of popular music. And so I find normally attractive girls who sing in their own living rooms and do covers of music. I think that that's a lot of fun for the guys. We also look at other things too that are professionals, so that they're familiar with a wide genre of Brazilian music and see that it's not just monolithic, that there's a lot to it. We also are going to listen to some podcasts and news broadcasts and things like that, TV programs, so that they get a sense of what it's like to see that at native speed. We were also going to do some virtual exchange students. I have a relationship with several schools in Brazil, and so I'm sure that we'll have an opportunity to do that as the year progresses. Next year, if your sons are taking Portuguese this year and they're a junior, there is the option that if they want to continue, I can offer them Portuguese 2 next year. And then they could also, if they are so interested, they could take another language, say that they develop an interest in Chinese or French or German or whatever it happens to be. They might be able to sign up for that if their schedule permits. So I hope this was informative and helpful, and thank you so much for supporting your sons in this endeavor. They're doing great, and I expect that this will be a wonderful year for all of us. Que Deus abençoe vocês. Até a próxima. Tchau.